Good morning, boys and girls. The book I'm going to read to you today is called Just Like Rube Goldberg, and it's a book about an inventor. He invented some of the strangest machines, but even though people thought his ideas were strange, he's one of the most famous inventors now, even though he never really was a scientist. So let's read about it and learn more. Just Like Rube Goldberg, written by Sarah Arnson, narrated by Robert Neubecker. The incredible true story of the man behind the machines. Question: how do you become a successful, award-winning artist and famous inventor without ever inventing anything at all? This is not a trick question. A man named Rube Goldberg did it. In a funny way, his life was just like one of his famous inventions, an improbable and inefficient chain reaction that ends up making perfect sense. From the time he was a boy, Rube Goldberg loved to draw. We're not just talking about simple stuff here. As early as 4 years old, Rube traced the cartoons he found in his books. At 11, he took official art classes from his sign painter. Rube might have been a quiet boy. He might have been shy, but he was determined to be a great cartoonist for a big-time newspaper. Unfortunately, when he told his family, they were absolutely horrified, beyond dismayed. Rube's father, Max, had immigrated from Germany to America to give his family a chance for a better life. He didn't want his son to end up a beggar on the streets. So, to please his father, Rube went to the University of California, Berkeley, studied engineering, and after graduation, got a job with the City of San Francisco Department of Water and Sewers. It was a good job. It paid well. That could have been the end of the story, right? Wrong. Rube detested shoveling tunnels in mines 2,000 feet underground. He didn't enjoy mapping sewer pipes either, and he wasn't very impressed with the city's government. Rube still wanted to draw comics for a big-time newspaper, so after 6 months, he quit engineering and started over. He got a job at the San Francisco Chronicle. For $8 a week, Rube emptied wastebaskets, cleaned the floors, and filed photographs in the document morgue. And whenever he had a chance, Rube drew, and drew, and drew. Day after day, Rube submitted his cartoons to the editor. Night after night, the editor mostly said no. When he said yes, Rube sometimes got paid, but other times, he just got out of the office tasks he didn't like to do. After a year, Rube convinced the sports department of the San Francisco Bulletin to hire him, and after that, he was a little more successful. He developed his style. The paper ran his cartoons, a column too. This might have been the next end of the story, but then the ground shook, literally. In 1906, earthquake in San Francisco crumbled the city and left many people without jobs and homes. In the wake of a disaster, it can be hard for people to focus on their dreams. It can be even harder to feel hopeful. But Rube didn't give up on his dream. Instead, he did the only thing he could do. He drew comics to cheer people up, and then he made a big decision. In 1906, there was one place where a guy like Rube could really make it big. It was a place that he called the Front Row, the cartoon capital of the country, New York City. So he got on a train and headed east. He didn't have much, $200 and a diamond ring. The ring was a gift from his father just in case Rube needed to sell it to buy a ticket back home. After 12 days of pounding the pavement, lugging his art from newspaper to newspaper, Rube did it. He got a job as a cartoonist at a big-time paper, the New York Evening Mail. He had made it. Right off the bat, Rube became a celebrity reader. Readers couldn't wait to see what he had to say about all kinds of things, like sports and politics and the silliest of everyday life. But maybe more than anything else, everyone loved reading about Rube's alter ego, Professor Lucifer Gorgonzola Butts. The eccentric professor invented one of the erratic machines one after another, and none of them were straightforward. In fact, they were the opposite of straightforward and often disregarded the laws of physics. Although This was the age when new machines were being invented to make life easier. Rube's screwball contraptions perfectly solved problems in the most surreal and ridiculous ways. Things like, how do you put holes in donuts? Or, how do you turn off a light? Or even, how do you cut your own hair? Just like the machines he studied in engineering school, these complicated contraptions required lots and lots of parts, and they always worked on paper, of course. They weren't practical in the real world, but that was never the point. Rube Goldberg didn't draw machines that solve real-world problems. He drew comics to make us look closer, and question logic, and tickle the imagination. And because of that, these machines accomplished something astounding, and more important than any pile of nuts and bolts could ever do. They challenge people to use the most amazing machines in the universe, the brain. So let's take it from the top. Rube Goldberg became a stubborn, smart, serious about being funny engineer office boy, cartoonist, commentator, comic genius, and award-winning artist and inventor, whose name is now an adjective in the actual dictionary without inventing a thing. Is this kind of thing still possible? You bet it is. Figure out what you want, work as hard as you can, and most of all, have a great time getting there. Just like Rube Goldberg. Hi, boys and girls. So what I want you to do is I want you to find some material around your house, and I want you to try to make an invention like Rube Goldberg. So Miss Grace and I made a couple of them, and I'm going to show you ours. So I'm going to start with my marble here, and let it go. And that one didn't go all the way through, so we're going to try again. So that's that one. We used a cardboard box. We opened up some toilet paper rolls and some tape to make this one. Now we have another one over here that's made out of a paper plate and some paper towel and toilet paper rolls. And we're gonna see this one go. Another fail was too fast. That happens sometimes, especially when you're an inventor. So let's try again. Same thing. So I'm going to do a little adjusting, because that's what this is all about, is trial and error. I'm sure that when Rube was making his, that he had to try several times to make it perfect. So let's try again with this one. Get a new marble. And maybe a bigger marble will make a difference here, because it's a little heavier. Let's see. Oh, too heavy on that one. One more try. Wish me luck on this one. Didn't make it. So I'm gonna have to do some adjusting to my, one more time. Hey, almost. But you kind of get the idea of what I want you to do. I want you to find some things around, and I want you to make your own Rube Goldberg experiment. And then I want you to post your pictures, because I want to see what you came up with.